With a degree in finance and experience in international banking, Kevin DeMeritt is the founder of Lear Capital. It is the country's leading precious metals dealer. Kevin also authored a book. It's called The Bulls, the Bears, and the Bust, which predicted the market collapse in 2002 and also predicted the rise of gold and silver. For 25 years, Kevin has been helping people protect their wealth by diversifying into precious metals. He says they're one of the few assets that can never be worth zero. Please welcome my next guest, Kevin DeMeritt. Well, the good news is, Kevin, we're not riding on bicycles anywhere. We just get to sit and visit for a few minutes. Is that not an amazing story?
That is an amazing story. I couldn't make it for 60 miles.
I just can't even begin to think. But you know, there's something else a lot of people have not really thought about, and that is when they look at their long-term future, a lot of people, you know, they have CDs, they have stocks, they have bonds. You say to folks that you really might want to diversify and put some money in things like silver and gold. Why? Tell us why.
Well, after a few years in the banking industry, you start to realize just how artificial the monetary system really is. If you want a loan, you go down to the bank, they print the money, lend it to you, and then charge interest on it. It's a pretty good gig when you think about it.
For them it is, yeah. That's
right. Then the central banks, if the smaller banks need a bailout or the economy needs a bailout, they print more money. And every time they do that, the money in our pocket becomes worth just a little bit less. So the devastating effect of this is that since we took the dollar off the gold standard, the dollar has lost 90% of its purchasing power. It's a devastating effect for people.
That's stunning.
For savers and retired people.
So a lot of people, you know, they don't understand. If they buy silver and gold, what is the value to them? How does that give them a sense of security that maybe other forms of investments won't?
Great question. You know, in 2008, the stock market was falling, the real estate market had crashed, and gold and silver hit all-time highs. And the greatest calls that we got were from people retired that said, you know, I don't want to sell my gold and silver, but my 401k turned into a 201k, my real estate's down. This is the only thing I have to sell that has value that I can wait for the stock market or the real estate market to come back. So it's diversification. You know, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, divide your portions 7 ways or 8, because we do not know what disaster will befall the land. That's what we're talking about here. Diversification in investing can help reduce risk and increase profitability. That's why I'm such an advocate of the precious metals market.
Kevin, you looked at the marketplace back in 2002. You saw and predicted that there was going to be a collapse. Same thing happened in 2008. You kind of predicted that this was something we'd be prepared for. What did you see that a lot of people weren't seeing?
It was debt. You know, 2008, we had $10 trillion worth of debt. It crashed the real estate market, which then crashed the stock market. Today, we have $21 trillion worth of debt, and it continues to grow. But personally, I think President Trump is doing an unbelievable job trying to grow the economy so we don't have another crisis.
And it is growing, and I think that's important. By the way, I want to tell you, you know, I feel like I know you. I see, you know, television commercials about Lear Capital all the time. You were the very first sponsor for the Huckabee Show. We're very proud of that partnership and grateful for that. But even more so, I'm grateful that when you talk about these issues, you make it where I can understand it, because, you know, I'm not an economist, I'm not an expert in the field of finance. If there's one message you have for the people out there who are trying to figure out how do they protect themselves, how do they protect what they've worked so hard for, what do you say to them that they need to do?
Well, investing should be very boring, actually, and you can make it boring by diversification. The people in 2008 that had the worst experience was when the stock market fell by 50% and they had to wait 6 or 7 years to get back to where it was. By diversifying with maybe precious metals, and there are other things you can diversify with, you had something to offset and go back into the market and purchase those stocks at a much lower value. And that changes your retirement. It changes your children's funding for their education. So diversification makes investing actually fairly boring. Over a 10-year period, as long as you have something offsetting the risks of a very high stock market like we have again now, with maybe undervalued assets like precious metals because they're low again, that whole cycle will shift. And over a 10-year period, usually you're going to have better returns and lower risk.
I want to ask you about silver because a lot of conversation today is about the value of silver because of its use in technology, which is something I've never thought about. I mean, what does silver have to do with technology, and why is that going to be a commodity for the future?
Well, the silver market's very interesting. First of all, it's below its all-in production cost, meaning most mines can't pull it out of the ground for the price that it trades at. And one of the big demand factors behind silver right now is solar. China's expanding their solar. California in 2021, I believe it is requiring all new homes to have solar on their roofs, and I think other states are following. You can't have solar without silver.
So solar is really triggering a very big demand of the silver market, yet right now the prices are low. So, I mean, that would be kind of an encouragement to look at that as a commodity.
Yes, same thing happened in 2002 when we had television screens and smartphone screens. All of them used silver. That was the first part of the demand, and now you have solar, which is much bigger. So we're back to the same situation, undervalued silver in 2002, and we're here again in 2018, same story.
Thank you very much for your partnership with our show and the confidence you have in us and our confidence in you, because it works both ways. You were willing to invest in us, but we are proud to partner with you because we have such confidence in what you do and in the integrity with which you do it. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure being a sponsor.
Great to be with you, Kevin.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, if you want to learn more about Lear Capital, how you can invest in things like gold and silver, you can visit leargold.com. That's leargold.com.